I am alive with this healing process, knowing that everything is in divine order. So good morning and welcome to the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. We are grateful for those who are here in the center and those who are joining us via Zoom and on Facebook, and for those who will be watching us on our YouTube channel. Welcome to our May theme, which we're continuing, is Light Within the Shadows. And our message for today is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And I added a little bit of a tagline to that, which is shadow play. So as this plays out, we'll see where it goes. Last week, I shared with you that this quote, "Change your thinking, change your life," is often attributed to Ernest Holmes, but in my own research, I could not find a specific reference to that quote in any of Holmes' writings. And so I put a message out to my esteemed minister colleagues and asked for them to identify for me, where that quote may be, or if they know the origin of it. And it was interesting. During the week in my mail, I received a little flyer from Unity, and it is promoting a new book of theirs, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. And so this is what was reported back. The earliest reference to this quote is attributed to William James, who lived from 1842 to 1910. He was an American philosopher and often referred to as a child prodigy. And William James was born 40 years before Ernest Holmes. So I think there's a little advantage there that James has. Joseph Murray, a New Thought Divine Science minister, and Brian Tracy, a motivational speaker and development author, also are attributed to using this quote and using this title as part of their teachings. The first reference specifically to Science of Mind was cited as the 1953 edition of the Home Study Course, where the title was changed to Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, Volume 1 of 6. And this was some work that was produced by Dr. Tom Sanner. And then the next quote or next response I received was from Dr. Marilyn Leo. And if you're not familiar with Dr. Marilyn, she grew up with Ernest Holmes. Her father, Reginald Armour, and Ernest Holmes were close collaborators, and Reginald was involved in a lot of the early work of Holmes. So Marilyn has some insights there. And she said that the first time she heard of the quote was in the 1980s, when a video and a book was published by that title. So what does all of this tell us? What is this trivia for us? In the world of metaphysics and in some other areas, we see and read the same philosophical principles, and they are represented, rewritten, respoken in our own words or in our own writings. After all, it is a new thought, and everyone has their new thought. So this is one of the beauties that I like about the teachings of Science of Mind and New Thought in general, is that we do not claim to be the final or ultimate authority on anything that is out there. And this is where we use the principles of science, the empirical research and the evidence of those things that we study, and we see where science and religion are not actually separate, but they're really compatible with one another. And so this leads us into today's topic, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and we're going to look at the shadow play. Stars shine in the daylight, but we can only see their twinkle, but we cannot see their twinkle without the darkness of light. Try that again. Stars shine in the daylight, but we can only see their twinkle with the darkness of night. Just like the water in the ocean is always glistening and sparkling, but we can only see those sparkles in the water without the illumination of light. And I saw this a couple of days ago. I was up in Santa Cruz and was down at the boardwalk and the Santa Cruz beach. And there was a point walking around the boardwalk where the shimmering of the sun was glistening on the water. It was just a really beautiful sight to see. And it was that contrast of the dark and the light. Even though the sun was out, there was enough darkness and contrast from the depths of the ocean that created the reflection of the shimmers. There's a complementary partnership of the light and the shadows that illuminates the richness of each. While it may seem that one may overpower the other, actually, one cannot be seen without the support of the other. So there is this mutual partnership, this mutual complementary partnership that is involved in this. When we appreciate both, we welcome the levity of light and the depth of darkness to create balance and wholeness. And this is what our philosophy and what our teaching is about, is providing us with the tools to create balance and harmony and wholeness in our lives. I subscribe to a daily little newsletter from Neil Donald Walsh titled, "I Believe God Wants You to Know." Some of you may be familiar with these daily postings, and even though it's tailored specifically by name, it's the same message for everyone. So on this particular one, it says, "Robert, I believe God wants you to know there is a light that cannot ever be extinguished. It is inside you. It is yours." And this is a message to all of us. There's a light within that cannot be extinguished because it is ours. Within our Science of Mind, New Thought, and Ancient Wisdom teachings, there are some quotes that support this idea of the light within. The first one is by Martin Luther King Jr. from his letter from a Birmingham jail. And he writes, "Only in the darkness can you see the stars." Julia Cameron in The Artist's Way writes, "Creativity, like human life itself, begins in the darkness." Creativity, like human life itself, begins in the darkness. And then Ernest Holmes in our Science of Mind textbook on page 183 writes, "Be the light that shines upon the darkness." Be the light that shines upon the darkness. And if we turn to the scriptures from the Aramaic Bible, John 1:15 reads, "And the light is shining in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overtake it." The light is shining in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overtake it, meaning that that light within us can never be extinguished. And so this is a reminder to each of us to let our light shine upon the world so that the world knows who we are, and who we are really allows other people to know who they really are through the light of our example. So again, there's this mutual partnership, this mutual cooperation that is going on. As we shine our light, we illuminate the path for others to see their own light. And the light ripples out like throwing a pebble out into the water, and the waves just go out into infinity. And so let's take a closer look at this idea of the shadow. It is not a situation of either this or that. Instead, it is all-encompassing, inclusive, and embodies this and that. It is said that the teeter-totter scales must have equal balance or the whole thing is skewed. And it brought back a memory of childhood when I would ride on the teeter-totter. And We would always try and make sure that the weight of the individuals on the teeter-totter was close. Because if there was a heavier person with a larger frame and a lighter person, the heavier person tended to dominate. So there had to be harmony in that, just in that relationship as an example. There is balance and equilibrium within the wholeness that encompasses both sides of the spectrum. Even the mystery within the unknown can be embraced through awareness of spiritual laws, how they work, and our spiritual tools help us to keep everything in balance and in alignment. We learn from the depths of what the shadow offers, and our ongoing experience is lighter and brighter. Observing our shadow work allows the twinkle of the stars to shine their brilliance and identify where the light and the darkness work in partnership and support. It allows us to explore our mental equivalents, such as fear and faith, feminine and masculine, darkness and light, anger and peace, joy and pain. With new insights, we turn from fear to faith. We demystify the darkness, and we make it less ominous and scary. Matthew Fox writes, "The human does not exist apart from the stars. Human history cannot be divorced from planetary history, galactic history, and creation's entire unfolding history." And this is from his work in the area of creation spirituality. Our shadow play includes the colors of the rainbow. And we see the colors of the rainbow in public displays of fireworks used to celebrate and acknowledge holidays or other big community events. These light shows are done after dark so that we can see them best. Just like the stars that are best seen twinkling in the sky against the night backdrop, fireworks shows are seen against the backdrop of the darkness as well. The light and the dark partner together to highlight the various colors and patterns of the fireworks display. Let this be an invitation to us to shift our perspective to be more encompassing and inclusive, allowing our view to expand and to release the need for exclusion. So we're not excluding the light, we're not excluding the darkness, we're encompassing both. And here's an example of how this works even at a more human level. Look back, if you will. Some of us may be of a certain age that we remember this. When flesh-tone Band-Aids or makeup or nylons was introduced in neutral shades. For years, there were only a few shades available in these products. And so those with darker pigmented skin didn't feel that they really had a place for the use of these products because it just, it really, I'll just use a Band-Aid for an example. If your skin tone was of a darker hue and you had on this basically white or really light beige Band-Aid, it really made whatever the wound was or whatever the scar was that you were attempting to cover up, really made it stand out. And so just that simple idea of the creative intelligence of God at work. Someone had received the download of spirit that said, let's make something different. Let's do different tones, different shades. Let's go into the color spectrum and pull out that which allows everyone to be a full participant in this. And this may seem like a small thing for some, but for others, it was a huge step in progress. As I've shared in some of my previous talks about this particular subject, Dark has always been given a bad rap, which can be microaggressive by its very nature. When we explore the colors of the rainbow, and even the colorless or the neutral colors, it allows for expansion, inclusion, and incorporation of oneness through multiple lenses. It makes people feel welcome, appreciated, included, and creates a feeling of belonging. And this again is what our philosophy and what our teaching is about. Is it about inclusion? It is about belonging. And this is why we come together in spiritual community, to have this exchange of friendship and fellowship. We take classes to deepen our spiritual practices. We get the tools to develop our spiritual practices. We attend workshops and participate in seminars where people of like mind are presenting us with additional ideas that allow our own creativity to expand. And most importantly, through the teachings of Science of Mind, we learn to go within, to trust our own intuition, to trust that creative process within each and every one of us that makes a life worth living. The colors of the rainbow can reveal our shadow, that part of our true self that is illuminated by the light. When we walk in the light of day, at certain points we can see our own shadow. It is an outline of our body. It can also apply to other objects. When we move, it moves along with us. Have you ever tried to move out of your shadow? Doesn't work. We can't do it, right? The shadow is there. It is a part of who we are. And it is through this movement that we recognize that God is absolutely all that there is, encompassing the light and the dark. And so the key points that I would like for you to consider as a takeaway this morning is that we can overcome any fear with a consciousness of faith by embracing the shadows with love, looking and embracing the love. And this is the unconditional love of spirit. When we release any sense of the ominous to better embrace the light and the darkness, we then are able to tackle any challenging topic or situation with openness, accountability, and a willingness to learn from the deep, dark abyss to achieve enlightenment, understanding, and clarity. Stars twinkled their brightest against the backdrop of the darkness. The contrast of one accentuates the beauty of the other. The darkness and the light are a pair and dance together seamlessly. Allowing the dark to be demystified, we open our arms, we welcome the depths and brilliance of what it has to offer, we allow ourselves to free fall into the seemingly forbidden abyss of darkness, where we discover that the light that is within the shadows allows our eyes to adjust to the darkness. Standing in our own faith, knowing that we are always protected and guided by the vast, unending universal presence. We no longer have reason to avoid the darkness or our shadow, because we remember that we always stand in the light, even in the darkness. Twinkle, twinkle, the twinkle of the star takes on a deeper meaning. And I invite us now to share our weekly affirmation. Let us say this together. I am the light that shines upon the darkness. Let us say that again. I am the light that shines upon the darkness. And our application of the affirmation, our life work for the week, if you choose to do so, is to go into meditation and to ask, is there anything scary about the darkness? And if so, what are the ways to address it? And then just journal your reflections. And now I invite us to lift our consciousness in prayer. I was sharing with someone recently, before I go into the prayer, I was sharing with someone recently that I noticed sometimes within our tradition, when we invite one another into prayer, some of us go back to a tradition that we may have come out of where, we bring our hands into prayer position. Make sure I don't cover my mic. We bring our hands into prayer position and we bow our head in submission. This is not what God asks of us. We're asked to come boldly and to be present and to be alive when speaking our prayers. We're making a demand upon the law. And so let us be upright and uplifted and forceful when we make this demand upon the law. And so let us go within to that place where we know the all-prevailing presence of the one life is absolutely all that there is. And that each one is an individualized expression of this divine magnificence. And when I say individualized, I mean that we are unique, one-of-a-kind representation of spirit. We each stand in our own unique place, both within the dark and within the light. And so this morning, as I speak my word, I make a demand unto the law that the healing of the mind and the body of our affairs is taking place right here and right now. And even those demands that remain in the silence of our hearts, the answer is always yes. And it is out of that silence that Spirit speaks. It speaks to us in whispers as the rest notes between a musical score. It speaks to us in monosyllabic words. It may speak to us in a symbol or a sign or a color. And so we open ourselves to listen to and to be aware for the still small voice of Spirit that is always emerging from within. And as we follow the guidance and the direction of Spirit, I know that everything continues to unfold in our lives in divine, right, and perfect order. I declare and know that as we move through the so-called transitions of life, however those transitions show up, that we do not walk alone. That this inner guidance, this divine source that we are an individualized expression of, is always with us. It is always guiding us. And so as we move through life, experiencing the transition or the passing of a loved one who has stepped off of this mortal plane into the eternal expanse, as we recognize and seek for and desire divine right housing, those who choose to remain unhoused, divine protection for wherever they are, for the gathering of that community that is building itself. For those who are seeking right livelihood in the area of employment or other creative expression, knowing that the answer is yes, and it is out of the silence that the way is made plain. It is out of that darkness, the dark night of the soul, if you will, those darkest moments where we may feel the most in despair, that the light comes in and illuminates that. And that spark of light, the twinkling of the stars that illuminate within our own being, is what moves us into right action. Knowing that right action prevails in every area of our life, I am truly grateful. I give thanks for this time together. I give thanks for this word that is spoken. I give thanks for the unfoldment of the journey of our lives, integrating the darkness and the light, knowing that one complements the other. And in this attitude of gratitude, I release this word now. I release this prayer. I release this treatment back into that law which always says yes, knowing that it is done and it is done well. And so I just allow it to be. And if any of what I have said resonates with you in any way, Let us affirm it together by saying, and so it is. And so it is. I want to take this opportunity to again remind you that prayer practitioners and ministers are available to support you. For those of you who are here in the center, we do have a prayer request box on our prayer table, and we have a prayer chest, so you can fill out the form and place it in the prayer box, and the practitioners and ministers will be in prayer with you as well as for you, knowing and affirming that all prayers are answered. For those of you who are viewing online, you may submit a confidential prayer request to our website, www.montereycsl.org, www.montereycsl.org. There is a place for confidential prayer requests, and those online prayer requests come to my own email here at the center. So we assure you the confidentiality of that. Now it is the time for us to participate in and practice the circulation and the flow of our abundance. We deeply appreciate the way that you continue to support the center. We appreciate the online contributions that are coming in, as well as the donations that are made here in the center. So if you're in the center, there's a donation box on our hospitality table where you may leave your tithes and your offerings. For those viewing online, we will have those opportunities for you after we say together our abundance affirmation. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so the ways you may donate to the center, you may mail in your donations, and the address is on the website, is on our screen, 400 West Franklin Street, Monterey, California, 93940. You may text to give, and that number is 831-246-9694. And you may also donate online, our website, www.montereycsl.org, donate. And you go on the website to donate. Also, if you're not a subscriber to the newsletter, click on the newsletter subscription button so that we may add you to our distribution list for our weekly e-news that goes out that keeps you abreast of things that are happening here in Monterey, as well as things that are happening in our global universe. And just a few more items to share, especially with our online community. We invite you to join us for visioning on Saturdays at 10:30, and we use the same Zoom login for the Sunday service. And then on Sunday morning, we have visioning here in person in the center, as well as online, and that information is on our website and also in our newsletter. Today, following service, is our monthly Soul Collage gathering, which is facilitated by Denise Kaku, and we invite you to stay in for a part of that. There is a donation of $35, and no one will be turned away because of the lack of money. So we invite you to participate in that. Next week, we have a guest speaker, Reverend Kathy Nichols, and her full bio will be in the newsletter, and we'll announce it again next Sunday. But I just want to give you a little teaser to invite you to come back and to hear Reverend Kathy. Reverend Kathy discovered religious science at the Religious Science Church in Santa Cruz, right down the road, our neighbors. And this was in the early 80s. She became a practitioner, and no, this was in the late 70s, I believe she said. It's interesting. Our time coming into Science of the Mind was about the same, in the early 70s, and we graduated from ministerial school within a few years of each other. Reverend Kathy graduated in 2000. I graduated in 2004. She was ordained in 2003, and I was ordained in 2012. She also worked with the San Jose community with Dr. David Bruner, and eventually began a teaching chapter in Prunedale. And the name of the teaching chapter is Heart to Heart CSL. And so in addition to being a guest speaker, Reverend Kathy officiates weddings, memorials, and baby blessings and anniversaries. So please come out next Sunday and support Reverend Kathy. And the title of the talk is Lights, Camera, Action. I would also like to point out to those of you who are here in the center, there's a flyer in the lobby announcing our volunteer opportunities. All of them have equal value, but right now we're looking for a bookstore manager. Congratulations to Georgia Dimadu, who has been managing the bookstore/gift shop. Georgia, because of life changes, life happens, has offered her resignation. And so we're looking for a bookstore manager. So do you love books? You have an interest in books? We're inviting you to step up and volunteer to facilitate our bookstore, and let's get the energy circulating in there and get some movement in that space. We welcome individuals who have tech team support to our tech team to support for our audio visual and Sunday gatherings and for class support. And this is something that you can participate in online. It's not necessarily required that you be in person. We would like more in-person staff, but there you may participate in person and online. We're looking for webmasters to support us in refurbishing and giving some more life to our website. We're especially looking for grant writers who may have experience in securing federal funds for faith-based organizations. There are some opportunities we have to expand the use of our physical facility, and we're looking for someone who can support us with getting funding for that. We're looking for greeters. We're always looking for greeters to welcome us each Sunday as we come in, and just to be the smiling face. I remember when I would go and visit various centers. When I was in ministerial school, one of our tasks was to visit at least 10 different churches or centers. They didn't all have to be Science of Mind. And one of the evaluation points was to identify how we felt as first-time guests. Were we acknowledged? Did we feel welcome? Was there some recognition, some information that was given about the center, things like that? And we also have an opportunity, and this is a paid position, we have an opportunity for a bookkeeper. Our bookkeeper has resigned and will be relocating, I understand, out of the area. And so there's an opportunity for that. For the volunteer opportunities, you may contact me, and my contact information is on the flyer and also on the website. And for the bookkeeping position, you may contact Bobby Hall, and Bobby's contact information is on the website and also in our newsletter. Also like to just remind you that Silomar, the Summer Silomar Conference is being held in August, and the early bird registration concludes on June 16th. Amy? Yeah, for the gardening. Yeah, we'll cover that. We're working on that. Yes, there will be an opportunity for some gardening support. outlining those details. Oh, thank you for putting the posting about Asilomar on here. The dates are August the 8th through 13th, and the rates for staying on site and staying off site. The early bird concludes on, you do it by, does it say on here? I think it's June 15th for the early bird. Yeah. And I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge Amy Megan for the beautiful flowers that we see throughout here at the base of the podium and in other areas of our hospitality area. Amy has been very quietly bringing these in and arrives early to create the ambience for welcoming those into the center. So thank you, Amy, for doing that for us. And so once again, we say thank you and good morning to our virtual community, those who are viewing via Facebook or through our YouTube channel. Remember to like our posting and to comment using a minimum of 4 words, and then hit the share button so that the message of the love of spirit, the unity of one life, gets out to everyone that is involved. And so we say good morning and God bless you to our Facebook and YouTube communities.